What's going on, everybody? Once again, we're out here live, like Law says, 95. Big Game James here, Cowboys Experience with my guy, Law Nation. What's up with you, Big Mal?
Oh man, it's just one day at a time, one movement at a time, and we're looking back at this previous game. Boy, we had one slip away from us.
Yeah, man, we got a lot to talk about with that game, and then even an upcoming bigger game. It seems like with the Green Bay Packers, which is going to be huge now, especially with the loss. They always say it's seems like it's always a must win every game of the week, but this seems like a must win. You got one loss in the NFC, you got another tough NFC opponent that you're probably going to see in the playoffs as well if you get there. So this is kind of be like one of those must wins, and plus we haven't beat Green Bay in the last few meetings, so beating them is paramount to me, but we're going to definitely talk about these Saints. But let me say a few things about this Cowboys experience, though, Law.
Mm-hmm.
We were out there. The Miami game had a great time. On the last home game, we saw Mighty Quinn had his big game, and we ran through the team. Had a great interview with Chidobe Awuzie. So guess what? If you're thinking about getting into that Cowboys experience, if you're trying to find out their game packages are still available, please find out. Also, this coming Saturday at the Lava Cantina, they're going to have Joe Looney there. And if you check the Facebook page, they're going to have two additional popular players as long as a mystery guest. Also, they'll be hosted by Jasmine Sandri and Amy Voss of First and Tens for all you fantasy players. Sun Tailgate and Randy White and Jay Novacek will also be showing up. So that's going to be huge. I got to meet Randy White last time I was there, and that was awesome. Jay Novacek, that's
Woo!
crazy. He was always like the big dog to me, and to actually be able to meet him, that'd be great too. So make sure you check that out, and we'll be talking at the end of the show about an amazing contest that you'll have about a player that we just spoke about. But let's jump right into this game, Law, man.
Mm-hmm.
So what's really going on, man? You know, we were coming out the gate 3-0, looking like the team just to dominate everybody, smash everybody in the way, and then we came crumbling down, as you can say, this past Sunday night. Even though it was like not like a blowout loss or anything like that, but still 12-10. A lot of us felt like this is a game that kind of slipped out of our hands. Kind of give me your thoughts about the kind of the recap. What was your feelings about that game?
Man, well, this is the thing. Looking back at the game, it was like an opportunity that we could have just dominated, but we didn't. I think that we regressed. We went back to 2018. It seems like we had a time machine, and we said, you know what? We beat the New Orleans Saints last year during this time frame. Let's just go back to doing the same thing that we did last year to beat the New Orleans Saints again. And the defense showed up. We love what we saw out of number 58. But looking back at this game, we just didn't take advantages of the opportunities. Although Big Game James, we can look at it and say, well, the officials this and the officials there. I'm with the mindset that the officials always going to have their hand or toe or foot or something in these games and on the outcome. So we can't use those as excuses.
Yeah, we definitely can't use those excuses of why we did not win the game or we shouldn't have won the game. Everybody's been talking about Kellen Moore being the boy wonder. He's been
Mm-hmm.
awesome as far as averaging 30 points a game with this offense.
Mm-hmm.
The Saints defense was giving up over 400 yards a game, especially in the passing game. So this was a game that we were supposed to be licking our chops and to be able to come in and still run that fast break offense that they've been running. But that came to a screeching halt. Talk to me about what did you think about the play calling? Did you really think that really affected the game? Is that one of the reasons why you feel like we didn't really score as many points as we did because we did get kind of conservative? It seemed like just force feeding Zeke and trying to go we know. Or is it a situation where this is a rookie coordinator and he just kind of deer in the headlights?
I mean, every stage is bigger than the next stage, right? When you play against a team that you know for sure that they know you like the back of your hand, maybe you try to outcoach yourself. Maybe you try to out scheme yourself and say, hey, what won the game for us last year? Let's just pull up those playbooks, right? So I'm thinking that with Kellen Moore, he was not able to adjust to a team that he's not familiar with. Think about this, Cowboy Nation. Just hear me out. And I do know that we got a little technical difficulties. If you guys are feeling any lag, just bear with us. This thing will work its way out before the end of the show. I guarantee. Here's the thing. When you got a chance to look at it, think about this, Big Game James. Kellen
Mm-hmm.
Moore knows the Giants, right? He knows what the Redskins was all about, right? And then, of
Mm-hmm.
course, the shell of themselves is Miami. We already know that they were just a rookie head coach, and they're not all the way there. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
we did look wonderful against them. Now we played against a guy, Sean Payton, who is, I can say, a Super Bowl caliber coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened here is I'm thinking that we outthought ourselves, meaning that we didn't do what we did the previous weeks. We thought that we can come into this game plan with the same game plan or the same notes that we had last year and continue to run the rock with Ezekiel Elliott and continue to play it and keep it close to the vest with Dak Prescott. And it came back to haunt us, in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely came back to haunt us and hurt us. Now, looking at the offensive line, the game is one up front.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that offensive line performance? Because it looked like when you watched a lot of the tape, Saints were shooting the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
They were getting penetration like no other. And this ballyhooed offensive line that we have been talking about that was looking like the old 2016 offensive line, possibly the 2014 offensive line that was just dominating, really got beat up front.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? Was that something that it was just mostly effort, technique? What really happened with that? Because we've seen a lot of, I mean, Travis Frederick was having a handful, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith. I mean, and a big key in that game to me was nobody was really talking about it, but I had mentioned, I believe, on the show with the Cowboys Experience last week, that Sheldon Rankins was active that
Mm-hmm.
game. He had not been active the whole year, and he had just been active that game. And he is a big body that they needed, and I feel like he helped causing stuff that run. What do you kind of think about that offensive line, and what kind of happened up front right there?
Yeah, man, they they showed the world that they're not the '85 Bears. Now, don't get it twisted, Cowboy Nation. But it made it feel like it that they were because of the fact that you had Jordan out there, and then you also had the guy Sheldon Rankins, and you had this Davenport kid that the Saints felt so comfortable enough with his skill set that they gave up 2 first-round draft picks for him. So they invested in their front defensive four, meaning that they know for sure that they had Drew Brees, although he's injured, and they got an offensive weaponry with a Michael Thomas's and those boys as it relates to Kamara. But they looked at it like, hey, the Dallas Cowboys invested in their offensive line. We invested in our front four. So that's how the Saints looked at it, and they did their job. They won their individual battles. I can still say without hesitation that La'el Collins, he played a good game. But we can still look at the fact that number 52 is still growing pains for him. Although it wasn't a horrible game, but those 1 or 2 plays, I do know that it's 60 snaps in a game. But how many sacks does it take for you get your quarterback killed?
Right, right,
One. It only take one.
right.
So, and that's one too many. And what I'm saying is that number 52, his limited as it relates to his size, it may still take another year before we see his full potentials.
Well, we are. It's going to be interesting to see, when that comes up next year. I guess we'll be talking about that later down the line. But that'll be interesting to see when you see Connor McGovern in the fold, and then
Mm-hmm.
you still talk about Connor Williams, who was a second round draft pick, but it just seems like he still kind of struggles at the guard position, especially with guys that are bigger and thicker than him. It looks like even though he bulked up, he still kind of has that issue with guys shooting the gap on him and being able to penetrate and making plays. Now, you've seen Ezekiel Elliott, 18 carries, 35 yards. Dak Prescott, it was 22 of 33, 223 yards, I believe. The bogus interception to me just with the Hail Mary.
Right.
Um, what do you think about those pass interference calls on Amari Cooper? I know you made a video. Please go check that out on Law Nation. What do you think about them pass interference? Were those legitly pass interferences on their part, on our part actually, and the fumbles? Jason
Mm-hmm.
Witten, Ezekiel Elliott. It looks like we just really shot ourselves in the foot. I mean, what do you think about those offensive stars that we had, the Amari Coopers, the Ezekiel Elliott's, the Dak Prescott? What do you think about their performances? Were they handcuffed by the offense, or was it just that they were underperforming in the game?
Yeah, and this is me not complaining. I'm just explaining. When the officials have that much longitude and latitude as it relates to dictate a game, meaning that if you're not calling it on both sides, and I do hear, because I posted that video, I hear so many things from the Saints fans and the Saints organization saying, get over it, and they sit, so many of them saying that, well, wait a minute, they weren't getting called holding and these sorts of things. My thing is, crucial plays like PIs on a first down play, that now you flip it around and now there's no longer a first down play. And you don't know whether or not, if the receiver have a clear path to the ball, he have a right to fight for that spot of the ball. Of course, the defensive back as well, but you can't call a push off when you clearly see that Marshawn Lattimore also is engaged at the top of the route. You got to let those plays play out. Not saying that, hey, this should have been a defensive pass interference or it should have been an offensive pass interference, but it's kind of like basketball, big game, James. Sometimes the refs will let these guys play out because you can call a touch foul on every play. And if the NFL is going to lean towards calling offensive pass interference, then there will be no Michael Irvins of the world. There will be no Chris Carters, no Megatron, no history of a Dez Bryant in the National Football League if they're going to call the game that way.
Yeah, I see what you're saying on that. Now, do you think the play calling kind of changed when we had those fumbles? Because you saw in the first half when we had the two big drives, you saw Witten. I think that was a bigger fumble to me, the Witten fumble, than the Ezekiel Elliott. I know we were started down, we were going for it when Ezekiel Elliott got the first, but that Witten drive, it felt like we were getting right back in the game with that Witten drive. When that Witten fumble, it kind of just seemed like it just kind of took the air out of us right there. You know what I mean? It just kind of just really killed the momentum. It looked like that they were trying to get back into this fast break offense. It just frustrated me, Law, is when we came down in the second half, we get the ball, we come right down the field, they're throwing the ball, okay, you get stopped on first down, boom, we come back, we throw on second. We go right back to the no huddle and you start attacking the offense. And me and you even talked about, you sent me a message to even tell me, why are we not using Blake Jarwin? I mean, we're talking about him being a breakout player and him being able to receive the ball, that he gives a vertical threat. That middle was wide open. Why were we not hitting that? Why were we not throwing it to Blake Jarwin? Because you saw when they did it, he was open and almost got the touchdown. And we see all the games when they're effectively hitting Blake Jarwin, it's on that seam route over that middle, and he seems to always be open. Why are we not attacking that middle of the field?
Do you want the PC answer, or do you want the?
I need the real, dog. I need the real. Why are we not doing that? Why do we not see Tony Pollard that game? Tony Pollard had a total of 2 snaps. You have a guy that's been effective, just gets a 100-yard game last week. You have 200-yard rushers. This guy has a difference. He had played 2 snaps. One of the snaps he got a pass interference call because the guy couldn't even guard him.
Right.
So why did we not see a lot of Tony Pollard? Why did he not run the ball? And why do we not attack that middle, y'all, in your opinion?
Right, and this is the thing. The reason why they didn't attack that middle of the field, all off season, we was hearing from Jason Witten saying that I'm not going to be the end-all, be-all to this tight end. I'm going to be man enough to sit back and let the young guys fill in. And you and I believe we talked about this, and we were saying, nah, you put those pads on Jason Witten, number 82, he's going to run out there. And shout out to Jason Witten. We're not trying to throw any salt or shade towards Jason Witten, but the reality of it is he can't run away from people's grandmother that's watching this show. That's the deal. And when you're talking about what the Saints did was they gave you the middle of the field and said, if you're going to beat us, then you can earn it by the middle of the field, because we're going to put 7 and 8 man fronts to cloud the actual line of scrimmage, and we're going to make sure that our guys are fanned out wide, and you can only win in the middle of the field. And Blake Jarwin is the only guy that got the speed, got the elusiveness. You can line him in line, and you don't know whether or not he's giving max protection or he can run out and do that wide option route. But Cowboy Nation, Jerry Jones and Jason Garrett, they comfortable with each other. And what I'm saying is they comfortable with the fact that Jason Witten been in his offense forever, right? And they want to give Jason Witten his touches. And that's what happened. Unfortunately, Jason Witten was in the game too long. We should have utilized the middle of the field and utilized Blake Jarwin's skill set, but we didn't do it. We shied away from it.
What do you – I still want to ask you this question. Why do you think we did not use Tony Pollard that game?
Oh my goodness!
I need an answer.
Oh my goodness!
I do not. I need to know, Law. Why did we not use Tony Pollard in that game at all?
I was wishing that there was going to be some type of undisclosed injury that shows up and said, hey, he had a stomach ache or he had some other issues that was going down. I believe the reason why they didn't utilize Tony Pollard because they used the old notes from the last year's game, the Dallas Cowboys versus New Orleans Saints, and said, "Hey, this is how we won." And if you go back and watch the NFL All of Nothing, and there was a little excerpt of Jason Garrett talking to the offense saying, if you want to win, you got to punch him right in the mouth with Ezekiel Elliott. 2-1. Run him right up the gut. And that's exactly what's the game plan. Get number 21, run it right up the gut, and just establish the presence of dominance. And we couldn't establish the presence that way. And we continue to run Ezekiel Elliott into that brick wall, and he wasn't getting anything. I would say that you should have put the Tony Pollard out there just to give the thing a change of pace, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, I'm hoping in this next game that we learn from this, or the team learns from this, and sees that that kid is important. And when we're playing these Green Bay Packers, we're definitely going to need him in this game. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we drafted him, was that speed and that speed option. And he played receiver.
Right.
His people even said that when he went to the Senior Bowl, they were trying to push him to play receiver. And the staff basically said let him play running back. So if he's in a passing game, flex him out wide like you did in that game, and let him create some mismatch on these linebackers. Not a lot of linebackers are staying with Tony Pollard. I don't care if he's a rookie or not. You get what I'm saying? That skill
4-3
set
is 4-3, yeah.
not a lot of running backs have that skill set where they can play a receiver type running back. So you have to use that skill set. So hopefully they learn from that and will be able to use it. But let's go to a good bright spot. Even though the offense kind of let us down, we felt like we should have scored more points. I definitely feel like, the Saints defense, it played okay. But I just feel like it was more the Dallas Cowboys than the New Orleans Saints. Yes, they had played with great effort, but I believe we kind of matched that intensity that they were bringing in and played a little more fast break offense. I really think we could have scored a lot of points on them. So hopefully they'll go back and change that on the drawing board. But what a good point, or a good showing that we have been wanting, was the defense. The defense has not really been maligned these last 3 games, but everybody's like, where's the defense been? Where's the defense been? It's not playing up to par or up to its standards like it played last year, where they came out there and played a great performance. Although I didn't like how they had too much of the time of possession with the New Orleans Saints. It was almost like a flip-flop from last year. Me and DDP, we talked about that. He mentioned it last night on his show. Shout out to DDP. But 5 sacks in the game. They only had like 300 total yards. We shut down Kamara, in my opinion, once again. Michael Thomas didn't have a huge game. He had some catches, but he wasn't destroying us. What do you think about that defensive performance, specifically, Mr. Robert Mighty Quinn? Because he would have had a 3-sack game if he didn't get the penalty. What do you think about his performance in the defense overall?
Man, he's lights out, man. And we got him on a 1-year rental. If I'm Jerry Jones, I'm looking at my checkbook right now.
I'm thinking about possibly getting him a 2-year extension.
Right.
I'm thinking about that.
Right. I'm definitely doing that, because the guy is so quick off the edge. And we talked about Ben with Randy Gregory.
Man.
Woo! That boy.
That bend is crazy, dog. Like,
yeah.
DeMarcus Lawrence called him the snake, and you see him do his little snake dance after he's seen that after the sack, and I like it. That dude, and we remember you even mentioned it. I think we were talking about him last week, that he could possibly have another big game. But you said that shoulder blade could cut that grass, because he's got that bend. And you saw that, man. He's just shooting out like a cannon, man. Like it's a beautiful thing. I didn't even mean to cut you off, but I have been wanting the Mighty Quinn when he came over, when they were thinking about letting him go, and I knew that they could be a good 1-2 effective. Like, got to see D-Law. We don't know what's going on. Maybe the shoulder, but he is seeing double teams. But that Mighty Quinn was looking nasty, fierce, and that's what we're going to need, especially when you're playing these Green Bay Packers. Because Mighty Quinn, the thing I like about Robert Quinn is that if you get past him the first time, he has that relentless pursuit that he can run you down, and that's what you want, especially when you're going against Aaron Rodgers this Sunday.
Yes, indeed. And then on top of that, not just Quinn, number 96 showed up and number 51. Those 2 guys. Now, they was out there. Now, when we saw the drop-off when you had to bench Quinn and put number 92, I'm not even going to say his name yet, because he's not earning his grain of salt. We just look at it like, man, if the Dallas Cowboys can and Roger Goodell's can somehow reinstate my guy Randy Gregory, and you can really think about
that would be crazy. We had a Randy Gregory that could be eligible, maybe at the end of the year. Maybe he could be eligible at the end of the year. Fresh legs like that, get off. You could just have him a strictly pass rush specialist. You can use Robert Quinn. You can mix and match with those guys. that would be so lovely to see because
Yes,
the
indeed.
offenses wouldn't know what would be coming at them.
Yes, indeed. And then on top of that, with D Law, I just think that right now will be a great time for D Law to go into the quiet room. You know, there's a movie out there called The Quiet Place or something. don't give them no more ammunition. Don't say about we gonna punch somebody in the mouth and leave them with the raggedy tooth. We just need to have D Law to just hush. Whenever he get a sack, it's just all. This is the only move I want my brother from another mother to do. Every sack, I just want him to do like this. I don't want him to be posting no YouTube videos, no Facebook videos talking about the return of the sacks and all this stuff and buy this hot boy merchandise. No, 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 no. We just need to figure out, can D-Law just hold up on his end of the bargain and watch that greatness going on the other side, number 58.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. But D Law, I think he still has 3 sacks.
Yeah.
In 3 sacks in 4 games. Although it just seems like it hasn't been impactful. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the biggest thing that when we saw DeMarcus Lawrence the last 2 years, those have been those big impactful sacks, those sacks that were changing games, and I think that's what we're missing from him. But I believe, hey, the more Robert Quinn continues to give that opposite side threat,
Mm-hmm.
you saw toward the end of the game, they started rolling that protection and sliding that protection his way and started double teaming him toward the end of the game. So that could free DeMarcus Lawrence and he can get his off. So that's the good thing about why you got a Robert Quinn, because
Mm-hmm.
now it can bring a D-Law and remove those double teams and he can start being more effective. So that's something that you get excited with. And then you even mentioned Kerry Hyder Jr. had
Yeah.
another good game to me. Also, what do you think about this, Law? You think Antoine Woods comes back and gets a starting job over Covington?
Man, I hope he's not Wally Pip, but it seems like it'd probably be the situation. Now, although Covington not just been doing like something just jumping out on the screen, he's been doing a lot of dirty work inside, and that's what your defensive tackle is supposed to do. But at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, we still need to continue to stack these games on top of each other, and hopefully, I'm thinking that the Green Bay Packers, their offensive line is a little nimbled or gimbled a little bit, and we just need
Mm-hmm.
to figure out a way to still showcase our dominance and continue to stack these good games on top of each other. But it could be a possibility that Antoine Barbecue Woods find himself being a rotational guy at this point.
I like Covington. I've been saying it for the last
Mm-hmm.
few weeks, and even in camp, I liked him. I like the presence that he brings. Talk about Tristan Hill. What do you think about his performance? He got a few snaps in this game. I saw he got not really pushed around, but one thing about Tristan Hill, his pad level, if he seems to come high, gets moved right out the play, and they can make plays on him. What do you think about Tristan Hill, the rookie? What do you think? And also, before I even have you answer that, Law,
Mm-hmm.
Kayvon Frazier. We're going to talk about some injuries,
Mm-hmm.
but one, Kayvon Frazier is out. He had the pec injury, which I didn't even see it happen, but he
Mm-hmm.
had the pec injury, and now he's going to IR. Do you think Donovan Wilson? I'm going to give you a two-part answer question. Do you think you're going to see Donovan Wilson? Everybody's been excited to see the young rookie. Do you think we see more of some Donovan Wilson? Not possibly just particularly special teams, because we know he's possibly going to play special teams. But what do you think? You actually think he's going to get some play up in the lineup?
Yes, I agree. I think that he should get some play time. But here's the thing: what we loved about Donovan Wilson, yes, he can play inside the box. But what we loved more so than anything during preseason was his ability to have range, and when he was playing that free safety role, because
Mm-hmm.
Xavier Woods was kind of hurt or something like that. So what I'm looking at collectively is that this Donovan Wilson kid, when he finds times to get out there on the field, maybe, just maybe, they rotate him in as the free safety, and maybe we can see some explosive plays from him on that side of the ball. But also, we got to temper our expectation, because this Cowboys team, remember, we love to coddle our players. We love to coddle the players that we love, you see. And that's just how the staff is, and unfortunately, that's just how it's been. Now, as far as Tristan, it's going to be a while. He got good get off. Like you said, his
Yeah,
pad level's a little high.
he's got good get off, man. He's got
No
good get off.
power.
Yeah,
just little pecs, man. He's just
yeah.
not really having the strength that we really want to see. It's kind of like the inverse of Connor Williams, you see. I mean, he got the technique. He's at the right spot, but he get blown off the ball, or get blown off the LOS. That's what we said with Connor. And even though you can look at it and say, well, hey, he didn't give up a sack, but when you rewatch the film, when you rewatch the tape, and you understand what that offensive line is trying to do, and when you see him get folded up, and you see too many times that your guy, Frederick, got to chip and help out him, or you see my guy who's folded up now because he had to try to help out number 52, number 77, who's going to be out for
Tyron Smith.
Yeah, Tyron Smith. These boys are trying to protect him. And I know that that's all drawn up by the offensive line coach, but the reality of it is that the kid is going to have to put some more brick in his pocket or get some type of strength from somebody.
Yeah, I see what you're saying with that, because when I'm watching Tristan Hill, just like you said, he's got really good get off. He's got really good get off, especially when he stays low. He's got good off. But it's just like you said, you can see he's missing that strength to really hold that point of attack, and he's getting pushed around. And you're going to need, guys in the NFL, it's a whole different ball game when you're playing in the college game to the pro game. It just looks like his body's still maturing and his mind is still maturing. So this looks like this could be more of not really like a project, but this is something that you can continue to see Marinelli continue to coach him up during the whole year. But the good thing about it is when you got a Covington that's been playing like he has, Malik Collins had a pretty good game. I think he had a sack in that game as well. It's a good thing you have those guys, and you have Antoine Woods coming back in the rotation, that you don't have to force Hill in that lineup, and then the team suffers because you're trying to push that second-round pick because you don't have anybody quality on that line. So I think that's the good thing. I don't have a problem with bringing him along slowly. Everybody wants to get these guys right on the field. It's a second-round pick. Everybody's like, oh, he's a second-round pick. He's got to get right on the field. That can be a mistake. You can't always do that with a player. When you see that player is not ready for the game, and he even said himself he wasn't ready, he still need to grow and mature, put those guys in the best positions to succeed and not fail.
Yes, indeed. And that's a very noble thing for a young player to say, hey, I'm not ready right now. That's noble. That's a very noble thing to say. And we look at this game, and I have to say this. Last year, there was a guy that wore 2 and a 7 on his jersey.
Man, did we see him in that game?
MIA.
What happened to us, man? Like you had the game plan where you had a Jordan Lewis following Kamara, and even though Kamara didn't really do anything with us, why are you not putting another playmaker on the field? I mean, he is a playmaker. He is a guy that is a good defensive player. He is a good coverage guy. We know he doesn't have the biggest size. We understand that, but why are we not seeing him on the field once again, especially in a game like this?
Yeah, it's a mystery, and my thing is, let me just break down the Saints' game plan, and it's going to answer that question for us. The Saints knew that Teddy Bridgewater was limited. They knew it. Without a shot of a doubt, they knew that he was limited in his throws. So they didn't say, okay, Teddy, throw a pass for more than 25 yards. This guy beat us by literally throwing into the flats, throwing into his biggest play was like a fade pass to Michael Thomas, but it wasn't a Michael Thomas pass that was on Byron Jones, you see. And they said, you know what? We're not trying to have a measurement contest. I'm going to try to keep it PG-13, but if you guys can recall what I'm really saying. We're not trying to have a measurement contest. We know that Byron Jones, 31, he's a greedy guy, right? But we're not finna attempt faith. We're going to go ahead and keep everything close and tight. We're not going to run Kamara, number 41, into the ground. We're going to make sure that the quarterback is comfortable giving little dump off passes to number 13 and number 41. And then occasionally we'll put in Tyson Hill. And then on top of that, any pass that we're going to try to pass is going to be a fade to the out of boundary, meaning that only the receiver or the out of bounds can catch it. And the one time that they did pass across the middle was a pick route, a rub route that they gave on number 31 when he was covering 13, you see, Michael Thomas. So what they did is they played on the fact that Teddy Bridgewater, we don't want him to win the game. We just want him to methodically move the ball down the field. We don't want him to lose it. We just want him to manage it. And then on top of that, if you look at the Dallas Cowboys game plan, we didn't come in with a certain game plan. We said that we're going to be physical at the LOS and we're just going to run Ezekiel Elliott. It wasn't a well-thought game plan. I don't care what anybody says about execution. Let me tell you something, Big Game James, and I know I'm talking longly.
No, you're good.
But just hear me out, Cowboy Nation.
Talk to me. Talk to me, dog.
If I draw up a game plan and say, okay, I'm going to win this game by having Shaquille O'Neal to shoot threes. He's going to be a perimeter 3-point shooter. And we practice all week. And then he gets out there and he couldn't hit anything. It's going for 18 for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Shooting 18 threes and then hit one of them. And at the end of the game, when everything is over with, they say, hey, Shaq, what happened? And Shaq said, man, in practice, we did a pretty good, decent job, but I didn't execute. Strategy, that scheme. That's not his skill. That's not his strong suit, you see. So we can talk about execution, but it's about planning and making proper preparations. Now, if I had a different, similar game plan and I said, okay, Shaq, we're going to utilize you in the low post. We're going to make sure that we're going to have the other guy shooting the wing shot and you crash and you get down on the crash on the basketball court. You see, getting the rebound, boxing out your man. That's a whole different situation there. What we did is we looked at this game and we said we playing against the New Orleans Saints. We beat them last year. We're going to beat them again, but this time we're going to showcase and feature Ezekiel, the main man, Elliott. And as soon as they start getting 1-point yards, 2-point yards on first down, they ran every time on first down. They became predictable. And now you're looking at 2nd and 8. And now you're looking at 3rd and 6. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely see what you're
that's
saying.
them drawing up the game plan for having Shaq to shoot the 3. And then looking back at the game and wondering why we didn't win because we didn't execute. No, you didn't plan properly. Now, I can say the exact same inverse. If you have Sean, what's this guy? And I know this basketball talk now. If you had, what's the kid, Steph Curry? And you do the inverse and say, well, hey, we want him to take over the game, but he's in the low post all game.
Not win.
You won't win. You don't give the man a 3-point shot. What I'm saying is that the Saints looked at this game plan and said, okay, we're not going to run Kamara into the ground. We're going to give Kamara, we're going to give a little taste of Murray, a change of pace. We're going to throw Taysom in. And as soon as the Cowboys figure that out, we're going to go back to Michael Thomas. That's utilizing all of your weapons. That's not just thinking about Ezekiel Elliott. The offensive line is going to win this game and occasionally throwing it to 13. Because like I said, you got a guy that can run a 4.3, which his name is Tony Pollard. And you had a guy, Blake Jarwin, that can actually take the top off inside because he's an inline blocker as well as an excellent route runner as a tight end.
And you know what else, Law? Just saying about the Shaq kind of, I don't know if it's comparison, but how you brought up Shaq. It's just like, as you said, here's another thing to bounce off of that. You're talking about, you're shooting 3-pointers with Shaq, you're not going to win the game. You go inside with Steph Curry, you're not going to win the game. But also, Shaquille O'Neal, if he is a dominant player on the inside, guess what? If you're going against a team and they're saying, we're not going to let Shaq beat us, right? You throw it inside to him, right? And they say, we're not going to let Shaq beat us. And they're double teaming. What do? Okay, we're not going to go to you right now, Shaq. Our other guys got to step up and let's move the ball around and let's hit some threes and soften up that defense. And then when we're blowing them up from the outside and we're hitting our outside shots because he's kicking it back out, then you go back into him. Then he's getting the favorable one-on-one matchup, and then he's scoring points, and then he starts dominating again. That's what you do. And I think that's what Kellen Moore, them guys should have did. Instead of being hard-headed on first down and saying, hey, let's keep running up the middle. Let's keep running Ezekiel Elliott. Let's keep running them. No, this is not working. They're stopping Ezekiel Elliott. Let's get in this shotgun. Let's go for a wide. Let's spread these guys out, and let's attack these guys on the wing. Let's attack these guys on the perimeter. Let's attack these guys in the middle. And then once we got them to where they don't know what's going on because we're fast-breaking them, now let's come back in and run the ball with Ezekiel Elliott because those holes that weren't there are going to be open now, and your play action is going to be more effective. So if we're seeing that, come on, Kellen Moore, step up and be able to do this in this Green Bay game.
Oh, yes. And I really believe that sometimes when you get punched in the jaw, Big Game James, when you get your tooth knocking out, you see, you go back and you study and you say, man, I will not allow this to happen again. I believe that this team got a resilience factor to themselves, and they would not allow this to happen again. Now, all of the haters, they're going to go around and say it, and all of the national media, they're going to say, okay, the Cowboys folded because they didn't play anybody for the first 3 weeks, and now they are exposed. I can go back and say this too. If I'm coaching this team, I'm looking at Ezekiel Elliott saying, hey, although that wasn't a fumble, You can't give them a reason to turn this thing over. You got to hold that ball through the echoes of the whistle. And matter of fact, don't worry about getting up doing the feed me sign. Still hold on to the ball, even when you stand up out after the whistle is blown. We got to protect this ball. And then on top of that, reliable, I don't think that he will have another fumble this year, you see. So there was some things that happened. And then on top of that, if they're going to coach this game the way, well, they're going to call it, the officials, I'm not complaining, I'm just explaining, Cowboy Nation, because I know I've been hearing this all week.
Right.
If the officials going to call offensive pass interference, all this week I'm working with Amari Cooper on getting the separation at the top of his route without extending his arm, period.
Yeah, and also I was listening to Jesse Holly, and I thought this was a good point he brought up. He was talking about that you can kind of induce the pass interference by talking at the refs at the beginning of the game. We haven't seen the pass interference from Amari Cooper in forever,
Right.
and for him to get two of them, he said that, you know what, you can have those guys coming up to the refs, and I've done it when I play basketball and football, especially when we play basketball, because you don't have a jersey on, a helmet on, shoulder pads. It's more open. You can see the refs. You can go to them, hey, man, watch this dude. You're keeping a good relationship with the ref at the beginning of the game. Hey, watch this guy, man. He be holding, man. He be holding. I'm not saying nothing. Just keep your eye on him. Just keep your eye on him. And the ref, if he's feeling you and he's liking you, he's going to look at that player and he's going to watch that player. And if he sees anything like that, he's going to throw that flag. That could have been an instance where they came at them and said, hey, watch Amari Cooper. Man, he tries to push off when he goes to the top of his route. Watch that. That can influence that ref to when that play does come up. He sees it in his eyes. Oh, those hands came up. They were telling me about it. Yeah, I think that's pass interference. I'm going to throw that flag. It does happen. And you can definitely influence those guys by talking to them in the beginning of the game, keeping that open lines of communication and being cool with the rest, because you want them on your side, and you want them on your side in a big play, in a big part of the game, and that's just real. That's what really goes on. So let me ask you this, Law. Getting away from the Saints now. Game over.
Over it.
We're 3-0. We're still undefeated in our division. Big game coming up against these Green Bay Packers, man. Big game. Now, the Green Bay Packers, hey, they were the ballyhoo, big defense. Oh, this could be the best defense in a long time, and the Eagles went over there and smacked them. You know what I'm saying? And they ran all over them. So what do you kind of think about this matchup with the Green Bay Packers? What do you think we should kind of do? What should be our game plan against this Green Bay defense, first of all?
We need to establish our identity, what we did the first 3 weeks. Meaning that this team, I believe that this is not a run-first offense anymore. We need to start doing the passes. We need to open up this offense, and we need to utilize our weapons. It makes no sense to have a Porsche in the garage, you see. If you're not ever going to drive it, you're not going to put gas in it. And I'm telling you guys, Tony Pollard is that Porsche. Not saying that he's a Hall of Famer and these sorts of things.
He needed to be utilized.
He need to be utilized. It don't look pretty having a 4-3 guy not being utilized. Even if it's, hey, last week I saw the Tavon Austin shout out.
That's all. Take his stats. Take his snaps.
Yes,
take his snaps.
Yeah, take
like
it.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. Like you don't have to activate him. I get it. You know, just like you were about to say, Law. I get it. We get it, Tavon. He's the good soldier. Is not getting paid a lot. Has the reasonable salary, but the man is not being effective. I mean, I think he had that play where he caught that pass and he cut inside. And I'm thinking, why did you cut inside? And you had the angle, and you're Tavon Austin, you're fast. Why are you cutting inside on a defensive tackle player? You're cutting inside and getting tackled. I'm just like, man, listen, I'm not hating on Tavon Austin at all, but I need to see more Tony Pollard. That is our X factor on our offense. That he is. He to me in my heart, he is our X factor. We have Amari Cooper, we have Ezekiel Elliott. We know what those guys do, but Tony Pollard is our X factor. When we can get him involved in the game and he can make some of these splash plays, he takes our offense to a different level, and we need to keep him involved as much as you can. And if they're taking away snaps from Tavon Austin, then so be it, because he is not the future of the team. Tony Pollard is.
Man, boy, you preaching now. And then this is the thing, Cowboy Nation. If you look back at the film study of the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Green Bay Packers, I hate to just look at both of those teams, to be honest with you. But if you look back at the tape, Jordan Howard got off. And I think that our running back is better than Jordan Howard, right?
Right.
And then Miles Sanders got off. I'm thinking that Tony Pollard, with the weapons that we have with the offensive line and with the surrounding parts, I think that he can run the rock better than a Miles Sanders, although he was drafted before Tony, but that's a story of a different day. What
Mm-hmm.
I want this team to do is not look at this Green Bay Packers team and sitting there saying, hey, we lost last week, they lost last week, they got more time to prepare, and we just going to play to their level. No, we don't need to look at that. And then on top of that, don't sleep on the fact that Aaron Rodgers, the bad man that he is, he still put up 400 yards. I know it's against those funky Philadelphia Eagles, but he still put up 400 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we
Mm-hmm.
got to be mindful of those aspects of this particular game. This should be a game that our front four can still create pressure and causes Aaron Rodgers to throw some interceptions, because he had a few that he gave to the Eagles that they didn't take advantages of those opportunities. And I can look back at our roster and say, our DBs are better, you say. This is a no excuse business. We need to take advantage when the ball hit them in their hands, is to take it away. And I should see number 27 in this game. I'll be mad if he's not, That's just my
he definitely, Jordan Lewis definitely needs to play. I like to see some Donovan Wilson sprinkled in there as well. Mm-hmm. Two injury, I want to ask you about two injuries. Some people in the chat box are asking. Let me give a shout out to some people. Forgive me for not. Angel Fleming, how you doing? Joe Oregon, how you doing? Tavis Banks, Andre Analok, what's going on with you? Joe Tranchino, how you doing? Patrick Tellez, Ray Boast, Jaquez McKell Sr., how y'all doing? We appreciate everybody that's been in the feed. Thank you for everybody making the comments, but I want to ask you about two injuries that's going on. One, what's going on with Michael Gallup? I was hearing about Mike Fisher. He was talking about Michael Gallup today, saying that maybe he's closer to playing. What's your thoughts on Michael Gallup? When do you think we're going to see him? Because obviously we've seen in that Saints game, you love Amari Cooper, but we saw in that Saints game, we are missing Michael Gallup.
Here's the thing, Cowboy Nation. All training camp and off season, it was Dak Prescott and number 13, you see. It wasn't Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper. Dak Prescott's best weapon right now is Michael Gallup, you see. They work together. I'm talking about after practice. I'm talking about they probably rode home together in the same car. They Ubered together. They ate together. They was the kind of people that you look at and you say, man, they like joint twins or something like Siamese twins out there. And I'm thinking that Dak Prescott, he still got some issues going through his progressions. And if that first and second read is not there, you see hesitant Dak Prescott, although he improved this year. But now that you don't have Michael Gallup, the guy that he's been working with, building that chemistry all off season, think about it in training camp, big game, James. You was out there. Boy, that fade and catching and taking the top off the defense. We said, look at number 13 and Dak Prescott. They're going to have one whirl of a year, right?
Right.
But when you remove that and you forcing Dak Prescott now to hurry up the chemistry, people fail to realize this is his first year with Randall Cobb. And we see
it showed.
It shows, right?
It showed, because you know where it showed to me was that rollout pass. I think Dak could have stopped. I think he rushed it a little bit, but when he did the rollout on our first drive and him and Cobb didn't connect,
right?
Because I think he saw pressure that wasn't there, so he may have rushed the pass, because he could have set right quick, because he had enough time from that defensive man where he saw he could have set right quick and just threw the ball. But I think you could see a Michael Gallup. He knows
Gallup
Prescott,
catching that. Yeah.
Gallup catching that. Yeah, because Gallup is running where Dak Prescott is at, and he knows where he is going. And I think if you had a Gallup in that game, we get a touchdown right there, and it's going to Gallup in that play, especially when he's scrambling inside around that 10-yard line. I think that's when Gallup becomes really, really prevalent in that part of the game. So, and then you saw where Cobb dropped the ball. Yes, we understand it was a little bit behind, but if you look how that defensive man was coming, if he would have threw it straight on, he could have got smacked. So he was throwing it in a way where he could catch it behind and not take that big hit. But you still got to, if the ball touch your hands, you got to make that catch, especially on a 3rd and 2 when you're driving. We needed that play. So, but we're not bashing Cobb because he's been phenomenal this whole year. Things just happen. But we definitely need to get those guys involved. And so do you think Michael Gallup will be back? We know he's not going to be back in the Packers game. When do you think he'll be back? Jets, Philadelphia? What do you think?
If I'm Gallup, I'm circling the Philadelphia Eagles game. I wouldn't try to rush him back against the Packers. Of course, and then on top of that, the Jets, they got a stingy defense as well. Don't sleep on the Jets defense, Cowboy Nation. Although they've been getting mollywopped left and right, they got guys that can hit. And that knee, you ever had knee issues before, James?
Yeah, I actually don't. My right knee, I don't have any cartilage in my right knee.
Mm-hmm.
And when it gets wintertime, it really
Mm.
affects it. But honestly, when I play football, or if I play basketball a long straight period of time, that knee swells up and you
Right.
feel the weakness in it. And it's like after it swells up, you can't put any pressure on it. You just got to basically sit and rest because it's not going to do anything for you.
Yes, indeed. So that's why it's so crucial. It's crucial. And remember, I'm talking about Dak Prescott going through his progressions as well. Dak Prescott used to go through his progression as in a Kellen Moore's offense, and this is nothing but a hybrid version of Scott Linehan, whereas the X receiver always been a dominant player. Law, do you have any information on that for the nation? Yeah, Randy Moss, my guy Megatron, Dez Bryant. You see,
Right.
we go on and on about Scott Linehan's offense in the first few weeks when we had Gallup. Gallup was the X factor as it relates to Dak Prescott first read. It used to go like this: you read from your X, and then you read to Amari Cooper, and if those two not there, then you isolate on the slot guy or the tight end. Now what's happening now is he's reading and he's looking and forcing himself to look at Amari Cooper first, and then it's going to be the slot guy. And then Jason Witten, what have you, if you're dump off guy. And then the fourth dump off read would be Ezekiel Elliott, who had a lot of receptions last game.
He led us in receptions with 6.
Wow, I didn't even know that. You see, so
Yeah.
so that's the philosophy. So what I would do in a perfect world, although we like what we were seeing from Amari Cooper, and we know for sure that Michael Gallup would help that out because Amari Cooper has been banged up or what have you, it would be wise for us to wait and give Michael Gallup 2 more weeks before we see him out there on the field. And I have to say this too, Big Game James.
Mm-hmm.
We need to figure out a way. The bye week can't get here quick enough to give number 19 some rest.
Yeah. Rest that foot. He keeps on saying it, it's good, but Amari Cooper's not going to complain. He's not that type of guy, and he's not going to tell you anything or give the opponent any kind of feed or bite. That's one thing I do know about Amari Cooper. He's not going to let you get a beat on what's going on with him. Mm-hmm. So he'll be the good soldier. Now, we're looking at, like I said, we've been talking about this Green Bay game, okay? So offensive side of the ball, we told what we need to do. But another thing that I feel like we need to do on the offense, I told you Ezekiel Elliott, he led the team in 6 receptions. Those receptions to me need to go to a Tony Pollard. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid. And I think this is what happened with us in the Saints game to me. You notice when we played those first 3 games, we just felt like we could beat the Giants. We felt like we could beat the Redskins, and we felt like we could beat the Dolphins. I know we felt like we could beat the Saints, but if you notice in those second half of those games, Tony Pollard was starting that second half and Ezekiel Elliott was on the bench. I think it was a situation where, this is the New Orleans Saints. Let's not bring in Tony Pollard. Wow. Let's go with our automatic guy, Ezekiel Elliott, because this is the Saints. This ain't the Giants. You get what I'm saying? Like, for real. That's what I felt. Like, this is the Saints. This ain't the Giants. So Ezekiel Elliott needs to play in that second half. No. Stick with the game plan no matter who you're playing, okay? Right. And if you're banging Tony Pollard in that second half and he's getting loose, don't be afraid to do it because it's the Green Bay Packers. That's my thing right here. Don't be afraid to go out of the box because this is the Green Bay Packers and this is a must-win game. So we're going to keep it close to the vest because conservative never wins. It never wins, it never will, and it never wins. And too many times we've seen the Cowboys when we've had opportunities to take that next step. Everything's in front of us. Big game, Cowboys take this next step or win this game, and everybody's talking. And then what do? Wah, wah. And that's what I believe happened again. The Packers lose. The Rams get annihilated. On their own field, 55 points by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Jared Goff, who's everybody's talking about, is the franchise, 3 interceptions, and I just think he's a system quarterback. But you had the opportunity to really distance yourself. You understand what I'm saying, Law? You had the opportunity to distance yourself, and then you didn't take that next step. And that's what I feel like our team needs to stop doing. When we have the opportunity to take that next step, we have to say, we ain't worried about nothing. We're going to still play our game. And I think the best game for the Cowboys right now is fast break football. We have Ezekiel Elliott. We know it. But we need to throw that ball, and we need to get these guys when we're doing that motion, give that no huddle offense. Because when we're playing like that, we are a better team.
Yes, indeed. Stick to the philosophy for the first few weeks that we did, and not give the other teams breath of
Yeah, don't
relief.
be scared of
Yeah,
these
don't be
guys.
scared. Mm-hmm.
Attack them. And even if you don't have a Michael Gallup, you still have a Devin Smith who is effective.
Mm-hmm.
Go deep on him. But now I will say that even when I listen to Amari Cooper, you have we have the all 22 law, and they were playing a lot of zone. They were
Mm-hmm.
saying they weren't going to let the Cowboys try to beat them deep, so they were keeping everything in front of them. You might see that with the Green Bay Packers, although I know they do like to play some man as well. But I feel like if we have those chances to take, let's take them. Take them early. Take them often. Don't be scared. Don't look at the clock. That's where we lose, Law. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what we do. Look at the clock. We're
Mm-hmm.
down 10-7. It's third quarter with 4 minutes left in the game. We just got to make sure we get in
Mm-hmm.
here to get the field goal so we can. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
No.
Right.
Attack.
And don't buy into the player, the superstar saying, "Hey, I want to be out there on the field." You look that superstar in his eyes and say, "Hey, we want you to be out there on the field too, but we need to give you some rest," you say,
Mm-hmm.
and we need this young bull to run this rock for us for a couple series to give you ready for fourth quarter. And I think a fourth quarter healthy, more energized Zeke would have been more beneficial to us than a gasp Ezekiel Elliott. And he do look gasp a little bit.
He
Especially
does
when
look
we
gas.
paid him $103 million. I have to always throw that salary out. $103 million. We don't want to see these type of games. It reminded me of the Denver Broncos game. It also reminded me of the Colts game last year, and it reminded me of the last year LA Ram game. We need Ezekiel Elliott to perform, regardless of
Yeah.
the circumstances.
And I listened to a couple of comments, and I seen Anthony Terrell. What's up with you, dog? How you doing? He says we never run that middle screen, or we didn't run any screens that whole game. And I like Ezekiel Elliott in the screen game, but once again, I like Tony Pollard better in that screen game. I'm sorry. And just here's the difference between Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. And please don't people think that I think Tony Pollard is the man and Ezekiel Elliott is not. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying, if you can look with your eye and you watch any kind of football or you played the game and you look at the eye test, Ezekiel Elliott is that 25 to 30 carry guy now. He is bigger than he was when he came out of college. He is. He's heavier than he was. He's a good solid 230 now. You know what I mean? And he's like a Frank Gore to me. Okay, he's that guy that's gonna just beat you down, beat you.
I think that Frank Gore is still faster. Oh, I'm
I mean,
sorry.
I was just saying. Yeah,
I'm just saying.
But
I ain't throwing no shade at Zeke though.
No, but why are you? But here's the thing though. Why are you saying that? Because when you see Frank Gore,
Explosive.
even now when he gets that ball, he's still explosive through the hole.
At 36,
Is that not true?
At 37,
You can
yes,
see it.
Yes.
I mean, you can see it. You can see when you give Frank Gore the ball, he's still explosive. You're like, dang, he's still hitting that hole like that. And I'm not saying Ezekiel Elliott is not, but he just looks like it's more. He needs them big holes to kind of just really explode through it like he used to. I'm not saying anything, but when you got
this is the thing, Big AJ.
you know what I'm talking about, because when you see Tony Pollard get in the game, when you see him in that backfield and we give him the ball, bam, he's hitting that hole. He's stretching that.
And he's not
stressing.
slipping down and falling. Here's the thing, though. I have yet to find any YouTuber or anybody on the social media's worlds to talk negative upon Ezekiel Elliott. And it's hard to criticize Ezekiel Elliott because we saw what he was able to do in 2016. He changed his entire organization to thinking that we got a chance, right? And then 2017, the muddies of the waters from Roger Goodell's and beyond, we was like, man, they just picking on this poor kid. And to me personally, I just have to say it, although he been leading the NFL in rushing, to me personally, I just don't think, this is just me personally speaking, Cowboy Nation. This is just my opinion. This is no analyst talk or anything like that. But to me personally, I just don't think mentally Ezekiel Elliott is the same person ever since.
I mean, I don't know about nothing like that. I just know one thing, that when I watch him hit that hole and I see Tony Pollard hit that hole, I
It's
see the
different.
different. It's different. I see the
But
It's
but let me
different.
ask you this: is it when Tony Pollard hit that hole? It reminds you of a 2016 Ezekiel Elliott.
Yes,
Opposed, that's
yes,
that's
because
what
you
I'm
were
trying to say.
yes,
You know,
exactly.
don't crucify me, Cowboy Nation.
No, that's exactly what it looked like because you remember in 2016 when you gave him that ball, the thing that you really loved about Ezekiel Elliott, not just the balance, bam, he was hitting that hole and
Mm-hmm.
he was stressing that defense. You knew anytime it would be a big play with Ezekiel Elliott. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Anytime you thought, man, this dude can take it to the house on one play because he's just hitting that hole. It just seems like he's not hitting it like that before. And I see the difference with Tony Pollard. And Tony Pollard opens it up, and it seems like let him do it. And then you bring a Ron Dane. Not saying Ezekiel is Ron Dane,
Oh my goodness, yeah.
but you know what I mean. He's just that bigger back that's going to just pound you, and then get a chunk 15, 20-yard gain. You know what I mean? Then get that because he's been just blowing you down. But please, Cowboys, I don't know. I'm beating a dead horse right now. Please play Tony Pollard in this Packers game. Learn your lesson, Kellen Moore. I still love you, dog. You still the boy wonder to me, Kellen Moore. But listen to me. Look in my eyes right now, Kellen Moore. Play Tony Pollard and play him a lot, okay? Because he's the X factor on this offense. All right. So before we get up out of here, Law, because we're about to close. We had a good time,
Mm-hmm.
good talk back and forth, like we always do, and you know I love it. Let's get some score predictions with this game. We're going to ask the fans up in there, everybody who's been in the chat box. We're going to ask you some score predictions. What's your score prediction for this game? And then we want those bold predictions.
Yes, indeed.
Go ahead. Talk to me, Law.
Oh my goodness. Score prediction of this game. I was off. I was almost close with the opposition score. You know, I said it was going to be 28-13. We just didn't get to 28, but the opposition got to 12 opposed to 13, right? So I'm looking back at them in this game. I'm thinking that now you have to look at the fact that they are playing Aaron Rodgers, who can throw the ball good down the field. I'm going with 28-21, Cowboys victorious.
I like that. I like that. I'm going to go with the score. I also know that Aaron Rodgers is going to be in that end zone. I would love to have that performance we had against them in 2016 when we beat them in their house and we just kind of locked him up and he just looked discombobulated. That'd be a game I love for him to have. But I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers gets up for us, especially coming into Dallas, especially both teams are 4-3-1. So he is going to I'm sorry. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to play a damn good game. I'm sorry.
Right.
I just feel like he's going to be on
Right.
100. So I feel like this is going to be a shootout once again, like it was when we lost to him a couple years ago. I feel like it's going to be a shootout. But I'm going to give the Cowboys 35-31, winning in the shootout over the Green Bay Packers. 35-31 Cowboys. What's your bold prediction for this game, Law?
Oh my goodness, Quinn, he's burning it up, man. Quinn gets 4.5 sacks this game. I think that he's going to do that, and then on top of that, the Dallas Cowboys going to go back into the reality of the world. I'm going to do defense first.
Okay.
Jordan Hip Pocket Lewis, he's going to have 2 interceptions.
Two interceptions?
2, not 1, but 2 of them. Somehow they're going to find a way to put 2-7 out there on the field. And all of a sudden we're going to look up and we're going to see, hey, this guy, it can play. He can ball. He got 2 interceptions. He intercepted Aaron Rodgers twice. And 4.5 sacks. That's a lot of boldness right there, right?
Yeah, I'm saying that's a lot of bonus. I'm gonna go on the defensive side, and I'm gonna go on the sack side. I'm gonna say we get 7 sacks this game, and I'm gonna say D Law gets 3. He steps his game up. Everybody's been talking about Robert Quinn. I think D Law comes out there. He's taking it personal. Everybody's talking about Robert Quinn, and they ain't talking about D Law no more. All right, I'm about to show y'all. I ain't gonna forget me. I think he comes out with the big game. 3-sack game for D Law. We get 7 sacks as a whole. Robert Quinn gets 1.5 sacks. The defense, even though Aaron Rodgers does Aaron Rodgers, I feel like the defense does get pressure getting that backfield and get timely hits on him, especially to create a big play. 7 sacks on the defense, 3 sacks by D Law on the defensive side. And on the offensive side, my bold prediction, I'm wondering. I'm going to say right now, Kellen Moore gets smart and he gets Tony Pollard back in the game. And I'm going to say right now, Tony Pollard has a big game catching the ball. And I say he catches 4 catches for 112 yards and 1 touchdown catch.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. And also, I got to throw in some offense, too. My bold prediction that there is going to be no offensive pass interference on Amari Cooper. It seems like every play the guy was put in a box. Like, hey, I don't know if I can put my hands on the opposition, although they got their hands on mine. You know what I mean? On my chest and on my frame. So I don't know how to disengage at this point. I guess you can just carry up the field. I think I need to go and try to play for an NFL team if you can allow the touch and chuck down the field. You see, and redirect 5 to 10 yards away, and then they still call the pass interference on the on the receiver. Boy, that's good living right there, man.
Right. Exactly.
Yes, indeed. So that's my bold prediction on the offense. And then, of course, Dak Prescott, he continued to shine, and everybody look back at this game and say, man, Dak Prescott, boy, he did a great job on this game because he still threw for 3 touchdowns. Wow.
Yeah, and I was just looking at some of the comments. We got a lot of the people are saying the same thing. Close. I actually went out of my feed and came back in, so I missed some of the scores. But I got Alan Lehner. He says 31-28 Cowboys. I think Barry said 30-27. 30-27. A lot of guys, or a lot of the people that are in the feed, are thinking they're going to score as well because it is Aaron Rodgers. So it's going to be one of those 30-point games, 28-point games, but we'll win in the end. And that's what we need to do, because we got to get people to understand that who we are and people to respect us and give us the respect that we deserve. And the only way we're going to get that respect is beating these teams like this. People are not going to take us serious and keep on calling us pretenders when we're beating mediocre teams or teams that we know we should beat. When we play against good teams, we struggle or we lose. So that can't be happening. I'm still going with the 12-4 season. I think it's still going to happen. I actually, when Podesta G on Silver and Blue Nation, he asked me game by game what was the game's going to be, and I said 12-4, and I actually had us winning the first 2 games, and I actually had us losing the second 2 games because I thought Fitzpatrick would come in and have one of those weird, phenomenal 400 game, 4 touchdown games and be that trap game. And then I just felt like the New Orleans Saints, we would be better than them, but they were just going to get that revenge. And then I said we would go on like a 5-game win streak, just like we did in 2014. We had that win streak, 2016, 2018. I feel like we're going to go on another roll, and this is where the win streak starts. So I called a 5-game win streak minimum for the Cowboys, and this is where it starts against the Green Bay Packers. We're going to bring it to them. We're going to beat them, and we're going to let everybody know we're the Dallas Cowboys, and we're for real. We're not pretenders. We're contenders, and this is where it starts, by beating the Green Bay Packers in our house. And I was looking at Angel Fleming. He said Aaron Rodgers has never lost in Dallas, so we need to change that because, number one, he's been our nemesis for a very long time in this league, and we need to get this W against him because I know he's kind of cocky thinking that he can just come in here and beat us again. I know he has that confidence, and until we step up and stop that, he's always going to feel that way, and we need to end that this Sunday right here and right now. Feel me, Law?
Yes, indeed, man. Boy, that was some good stuff right there. And Aaron Rodgers never played against Chris Richard in Dallas, I guess. You know, we can throw that in there too, right?
Throw that in there as well. So
let's go, Cowboy Nation.
So let's go. Bring it, Chris Richard. Don't play around. Play Jordan Lewis. Okay, listen to us, Kellen Moore, and listen to us, Chris Richard. Kellen Moore, play Tony Pollard. Chris Richard, play Jordan Lewis, and sprinkle in that Donovan Wilson too. It's okay. We want to see that guy. But I got one thing before we head out of here, Law. Please go to the Cowboys Experience website and sign up for their newsletter, and you will have a chance to win a personalized Jay Novacek autographed picture. And it expires tomorrow at 5 p.m. So please, once again, the Cowboys Experience, go to the Cowboys Experience website, sign up for the newsletter so you can have a chance to win a personalized autographed picture of the great Jay Novacek. And it expires tomorrow at 5 p.m. And also, Jay Novacek will be at the Sun Tailgate with Randy White, the Manster, and you'll be able to holler at him. So if you're trying to get that Cowboys experience, go to the Lava Cantina. Joe Looney, who you interviewed last year, you had a great interview with him because he got that dude is a funny dude, and he gave you a great interview. So check that out, Lava Cantina. Joe Looney will be there. Other Cowboys hosts, Barry Griffith, the Cowboys Experience. If you're still trying to get to these games, find out about the amazing packages that they offer. You can talk to us at Silver and Blue Nation, Big Game James, or Law Nation, so you can find out more how you can get to these games and get an experience like no other. So without further ado, shout out to Law Nation. And if you don't know who this man is, man, you crazy. Tell them where you at, Law, and where they can find your platform and your program and how you do it.
Oh man, all you got to do, believe it or not, it's like Ripley's Believe It or Not or ESPN 30 for 30. All you got to do is go to Google, type in LAW Nation, and you should see my face or logo, and you'll see all of those platforms I'm on. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube. Got 2 pages out there, and MySpace and Twitter and Twitch. Man, I'm everywhere, Cowboy Nation. Just type in LAWS Nation or LAW Nation, and you should see me. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Go Cowboys. Let's go.
Yeah, I felt that last part, man. It's time. Listen, y'all. We need to get this game. Let's not play around. Let's let these teams know who we are. Don't play around. You know, y'all play with my emotions this Saints game. I jumped on my Facebook page. I said, don't play around with these Saints. Beat these boys so everybody can know who we are. I'm coming into you guys once again, Cowboys. If you ever just happen to pull up a news feed or one of these shows and just happen to say, I'm going to look on Facebook and I'm going to look at the Cowboys Experience, what they got going on, please look at this show and look at my eyes right now.
Looking.
Beat these Green Bay Packers. We are a contender, not a pretender. And we ain't going to be a contender if we ain't beating these Packers. They're coming into our house with Aaron Rodgers. We have the defense. We have the offense. We have the weapons. We have the talent. We need to stop talking about it, and we need to take the next step. And this is how you do it. I said we're going on a 5-game win streak. I said we're going on a roll, and this is where it starts Sunday. So the Cowboys, bring it. Don't play around with that play calling. Don't be scared. We ain't scared. Go out there, a reckless abandon. That's how you win. That's how you don't lose. That conservative mess will never, ever get you wins, okay? It will just keep you mediocre and average. So play loose, play fast, play quick, play aggressive, and play strong, and we're going to beat them Packers. And how about them Cowboys?
Let's go. Salute. We're out.
Peace.